Now we're going to be looking at isosceles and equilateral triangles, questions 13 through 18. Now, isosceles, let me just come and say it. Isosceles and isosceles triangles, there's two angles that are equal. Now, remember how yesterday, one thing that we did yesterday, remember how I said that the smallest angle is opposite from the smallest side and the biggest angle is opposite from the biggest side? One thing here, notice, I'm going to do blue, I guess, for this angle. Notice how this angle is opposite from this side. And then let me use black for the other angle. Notice how this angle is opposite from this side. Now, on isosceles triangles, two angles are equal. So guess what? Those two sides are going to be equal as well. Right? Now, you guys might be like, well, what isosceles? Where does this thing come from? It sounds like isometry. Wasn't, remember isometry, one side is equal to the other side, like everything reflected? Does that make sense? Okay. So let's take a look at this. Remembered, because those angles are equal, those sides that I just marked, guess what? They're equal as well. So let's take a look at number 13. Let me label with blue. Yeah, I see two angles that are marked, right? Every time I see those marks, that means those angles are equal. I know I'm gonna mark it with blue. This angle is opposite to this side. And then let me go with red. This angle is opposite to this side. Now, because those two angles were marked to begin with, you guys saw the markings at the beginning, because they were marked the same way, then those two angles are equal. So then I know that those two sides are equal. The instruction here, it says find the value of x. But I know those two sides are equal. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to say 7 is equal to x minus 3. I'm going to let those two sides equal each other. Now that looks like a simple algebra question. I want to get x by itself. I want to get rid of this minus 3 because I want x by itself. I'm going to move it to the other side as a plus 3. Right? Don't forget to do opposite operation, right? Change the sign. Now on the left side, 7 plus 3, I'm going to say that's 10. On the right side, I only have x by itself, so 10 is equal to x. So my instructions here were find the value of x. Well, 10, right? X is equal to 10. Not hard. Let's take a look at number 14. Now, I see this angle is marked, so I'm going to mark this side. I see this angle is marked, so I'm going to mark this side. I always mark I see an angle, I mark the opposite side. I know those two angles are equal, so that means those two sides must be equal. The way I'm going to find the value of x, I'm just going to go 8 is equal to x plus 15. Remember, I separate my sides through the equal sign. I forgot to do that on the previous. I'm going to separate it so I can see it. I want x by itself, so this plus 15, I'm going to move it to the other side as a minus 15. Don't forget to switch the sign. Now, 8 minus 15, that's negative 7. On the right side, I have x by itself. So x is equal to negative 7. There. Now, let's take a look at number 15. Now, I want you to see one thing here. On the very top of the question, it says measurement of angle 2 is equal to x plus 100. Okay, so what does that mean, Mr. Leonzo? Well, you see where I have a 2? You see this right here? That 2? See how it doesn't have a degree symbol? So I want you to cancel that 2. So block that. And that angle is x plus 100. I'm gonna write it up here, but you know that means this angle. Okay, so what do I do now, Mr. Leon? So I see two sides that are equal. You guys see, let me erase this. Let me highlight. I want you guys to see these markings. You guys see those red markings right there? Okay. Now, because those two sides have slashes, the same slash, that means those two sides are equal. I remembered that I just mentioned that isosceles triangle, there's two angles that are equal and two sides that were equal. So let me do something really quick. This side, because that's one of the sides marked, let me mark this angle. Remember, I look at one side and I look at the opposite angle. Then I see this side is marked as well. So let me mark this angle. Right? I look at one side and I mark the opposite angle. Now, because those two sides are equal, guess what? Those two angles are equal. You see that one of them is 46 degrees? Well, the other one is 46 as well. Now, solve for x, right? Because the instructions to begin with, questions 13 through 18, the directions are solve for x. Now, I'm not going to say x plus 100 equals 46. No, no, no. X plus 100 is not 46. What I'm going to say instead, I'm just going to say x plus 100 plus 46 plus 46 equals, okay? I'm not going to finish yet. Notice I added the three corners of a triangle this time. All right, x plus 100 was not equal to 46. So I did not let them equal each other. Instead, I'm adding the three corners of a triangle. Didn't we say at the beginning of the week that when we add three corners of a triangle, I add them all and it's equal to 180? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Let me separate my sides through the equal sign. The left side, let me combine like terms. When it comes to letters, I just have 1x. When it comes to numbers, I have 100 plus 46 plus 46. So I'm going to call that 192. And I know all of this is equal to 180. On the left side, I just combine my like terms. Okay. Now I want to have x by itself. So this plus 182, let me move it to the other side as a minus 192. So I get that x is equal to 180 minus 192 is equal to negative 12. There, x equals negative 12. All right, let me take a look at number 16. To begin with, I see that the measurement of angle 2 is 5x minus 5. So you see where the 2 is? Let me cancel that. And I'm just going to say 5x minus 5 is this corner. Okay, so I see two sides that are marked. Let me take this off. You see these markings right here. So that means those two sides are marked. What I'm going to do, I see this side. Let me mark the angle that is opposite from that side. So let me mark this angle. Do you see this side? Let me mark the angle that is opposite from that. So I'm gonna mark this angle. Now those two angles that I marked are equal to each other. So I'm gonna say this other angle is 5x minus 5. Because I said that those two angles that I marked are equal to each other. Okay, now I have all three angles. Okay, so that's not bad. I'm just gonna add everything. So I have 5x minus 5 plus 5x minus 5 plus 100 is equal to 180. Right? I'm adding the three angles of a triangle and it is equal to 180. Okay, easy. Let me separate them through the equal sign. On the left side, let me combine my like terms. When it comes to letters, I see 5x plus 5x. Well, that's 10x. When it comes to numbers, I see negative 5 minus 5 plus 100. Well, that's 90, right? And all of this is equal to 180. Again, on the left side, I just combine my like terms. I want the term with the x by itself. I want 10x by itself. So this plus 90, let me move it over as a minus 90. So I have that 10x is equal to 180 minus 90. That's 90. Oh, I see a number in front of x. You guys see that 10? Okay, I see a number in front of x. So let me divide both sides by 10. Because 10 divided by 10 is 1. So 1x. 90 divided by 10 is 9. Okay, so x is equal to 9. Let's take a look at a couple more examples. Looking at number 17. First thing I notice is that the measurement of angle 2 is equal to 7x minus 3. Okay, so instead of angle 2, let me erase that. I'm going to say 7x minus 3 is this corner. I know isosceles triangles, there's two sides that are equal, but look, all three sides are marked. That means all three sides are equal. So that's what we call equilateral triangle. Right? We're dealing with, if you look at the homework, the title of the homework said isosceles and equilateral triangles. Okay. So guess what? All the sides are equal. That means all the angles are equal as well. So let me mark it with black. Let's see. This angle, this angle, this angle. Because all sides are equal, all angles are equal. You might be like, are you sure, Mr. Leonzo? Well, let me show you. Let me show this again. Let me go slow motion. Remember that two is canceled. Let me show you why all angles are equal. Because what I will do is this side is marked. So let me mark the opposite angle. This side is marked. So let me mark the opposite angle. This side is marked. Let me mark the opposite angle. All the angles that I marked are equal to each other. Yeah, in that case, yeah, all of them are equal. Now, one thing I want you to notice, I guess let me highlight it with green. This angle and this angle are equal. I'm not gonna say I'm always gonna use that adding the three angles equals to 180. Nope, I'm not always gonna use that. In this case, I have these two angles are equal. So why don't I just come and I write 7x minus 3 is equal to 60. I know those two angles are equal. So might as well just let them equal each other and solve for x. Okay, let me separate them through the equal sign. I want the 7x by itself. So this minus 3, let me move it over as a plus 3. So I have that 7x is equal to 63. I see a 7 in front of the x, so let me divide both sides by 7. 63 divided by 7 is 9. So x is equal to 9. Nice. Let's take a look at number 18. Sometimes we see that 30 degrees. Now, some people might ask me, Mr. Leonzo, is that 30 degrees this corner or is that 30 degrees this corner? Now, in that case, I will tell you, what do you think? I know an L shape is 90. So 30 degrees should be less. should be less than an L shape. Now, which one do you think is 30 degrees? I think we see it. That one. The one I left marked. That's 30 degrees. Okay? So sometimes you will be looking at the degrees and be like, which one is it? Well, technically, it is closer to the corner that I marked. It's just that it didn't fit because it was such a small corner. My 30 degrees, with my number did not fit in there. So that's why I typed it as close as possible. I know it confuses you with the other corner, but when you get confused, which corner is it? Then imagine me asking you, what do you think? Remember, an L shape is 90 degrees. So if it's less than 90, well, it should be less than an L shape. If it's more than 90, well, this should be an obtuse angle, right? More than an L shape. Okay, so let me erase this really quick. I always start looking at here in the top. Measurement of angle 2 is equal to x plus 19. Okay, so instead of this 2, I'm going to say x plus 19 is this corner. I see two sides are equal. Okay. Let me mark this with red. I see this side is marked, so let me mark this angle. I see this side has a slash, so let me mark the opposite angle. Had to solve for x. Now, interesting, one of the angles that I marked is 30 degrees. The other angle that I mark is x plus 19. My job here is solve for x. So why don't I let them equal each other? X plus 19 is equal to 30. Cool. Let me separate them through the equal sign. My plus 19, let me move it over as a minus 19. Don't forget to switch the sign. So I have that x is equal to 30 minus 19. Well, that's 11. Cool. So x equals 11. There you go. Let me zoom out. That way you guys can see what we did today.